All right, so we're doing this virtual field day, right? So we're using technology to bring you the field days. So we can't pass up the opportunity to talk to you about our digital ag platform, which is our form of technology, our ag technology, and that is Climate Fieldview. And several of you have this platform that you're currently using. Use it in the cab of your tractor, your combine, even some of you are using it in the cotton picker. So wanted to take just a few minutes and talk to you about Climate Fieldview and what it can do for you. I've had the opportunity to work with this platform for about 4 years now, and pretty excited about what this digital ag platform can do for you. In a nutshell, it actually turns your entire farm into a test plot. I'm holding my iPad because the iPad is actually what we use in the cab of your tractor or your combine to visualize all the data that you generate through climate. So we actually use a small puck or a drive that actually plugs into the CAN bus port in your piece of equipment, and we're capturing all the information during all phases of the season. So at planting, in season, and at harvest time. And to break that down just a little bit more, at planting time, we're capturing all of your planting information, your hybrid information, you're capturing your population rates. If you're measuring things like down pressure, good ride singulation, things like that, it captures all that. You're reading information from your planter is what you're doing. That's the most important time of the year, in my opinion, is to capture your planting information, because all that flows through into harvest later on. We also can capture application. If you're making applications at planting, we can capture that information in climate as well. The good thing about climate is when you're through with planting, it creates a very nice, very concise planting report by field or by farm. Many of you who have had it, and those of you who are interested in this platform, can use that planting summary to certify your acres with FSA. Now, as we move into in season, we can actually use climate in your sprayer and make applications and actually keep records for your record keeping that's required by law. You can use climate for that, and actually each time you go in and make an application, you can print off a very concise summary of the application that you've made. Keep that for your record keeping. And I do want to go back and mention too that at planting and even during the application process, you can create prescriptions. So if you have the ability to do variable rate planting, you can deliver that prescription through climate. Application rates, whether it's fertility or even spray applications, you can deliver those prescriptions through climate as well. Now we move into the harvest season. Very important time of the year. We roll right into harvest with the combine. We're standing in front of a cornfield. We planted this field using Climate Fieldview, and we'll harvest this field with the combine using Climate Fieldview as well. When we roll into the field with climate, we'll let the yield monitor and the combine do all the work for us. We'll let the iPad visually show us what's going on at the time of harvest. Because we have the as planted data already captured, the combine, immediately as we start in the field, it starts visually telling us what our yields are, and it gives us a visual yield map. We're not having to go back and create and build those maps. It's visually telling us that. And as soon as we leave the field with the combine after harvest, we've got all the information captured. And once again, we can print, email, save a PDF version of our yield map, and we have that information captured. And then that leads us to the post-harvest portion of the season, the fourth season, if you will, and that's the yield analysis tool. And this is very important. And I sit down with a lot of farmers who have climate now, and we look at the performance, the season-long performance, and I can actually break down by farm, by soil type, how hybrids perform on an individual's farm. And so this is a very important piece. This is why I tell you that planting is very important with climate, because once we get the as planted data and we go on through the year and get to harvest, it's automatically analyzing how hybrids and varieties perform on your farm. So at the end of the year, When harvest is complete, your yield analysis tool does all the work for you. So now you actually have the ability to specifically determine how a product performs on the farms that you have, on the type of ground that you have. Okay, so that's the most important piece of this whole tool, is what does it do on your farm? Okay, you can look at test plots that we provide, the data that we provide from areas that are close to you, but how does the product perform on your farm? That's why I said earlier that climate turns your whole farm into a test plot. So what products work best for you? So climate is a way to capture, to visualize, and to organize all of your operational data into one place. Okay, so you can very easily organize, you can analyze your data, you can analyze your seed performance, you can analyze your application performance, and to me that's the most important part about climate, is being able to analyze and visually see how products perform on your farm for the year.
With all of your data in one place, you have the ability to look through every layer, whether that's planting, application data, soil data, harvest data, all of those data layers that you bring in. You can look through those and determine with analysis what is best for your field. Here's an example. Here are the fields in my operation that I planted corn on. Big Bottom being the number one field, Jefferson Center being at the bottom. I'm going to tap on Big Bottom and I want to show you what happens. We have two different hybrids planted in this field. One of them significantly outperformed the other on average across the field. But let's dive a little deeper. I'm going to tap on the lower performing hybrid, and you'll notice that in a couple of soils, Ogle silt loam and Lawson silt loam, these two soils allowed this hybrid to outproduce the top producing hybrid on average. So I always say don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and here's a prime example of that. This gives you a better feel of what's going on in your field at a subfield level. Speaking of subfield analysis, I want to show you field region reports in Climate Fieldview. I'm going to draw a couple of different regions. The first one is up at the top of this highly variable field here. I draw this with my finger on the iPad, and you can see here there's a couple of different hybrids planted in the northern portion of this field, which is a lower performing part of my field. The hybrid denoted by the blue dot is, I say, significantly outperforming the hybrid denoted by the orange dot. And because we have soil maps in Fieldview, you can see here there's a couple of different soils here, Plainfield sand and Sparta loamy sand. And you can see that my yield in both of those sands is pretty similar. But because there's a difference in those hybrids, I'm going to tap on that lower performing hybrid at 125 bushels per acre versus the 133, which was outperforming it. And you can see there that in the Plainfield sand, this hybrid actually outperforms the other hybrid. In the Sparta loamy sand, it is significantly reduced in its yield. So this particular hybrid responds to these different sands in a very significant way. And then you can see that I planted this field using different populations. So you can see the average yield by this hybrid in this field at the different populations I planted it at. You're probably starting to tell that whenever you've got a lot of layers in your Fieldview system, you can see a lot of change across the field, and you can see something that may significantly impact your yield and therefore your income. Now let's draw another region in this field. Let's draw in this higher performing region of the field a circle. And you can see here these two same hybrids are planted in this region also. And the hybrid denoted by the orange dot is outperforming the hybrid denoted by the blue dot. So just because one hybrid performs well in one area doesn't necessarily mean it performs as well in another area. Now this part of the field is probably where I make the most of my money on this field. So it's probably more important to me that I have a higher producing hybrid in this section of the field than anywhere else. I'll tap on that orange hybrid, the hybrid denoted by the orange dot, and we'll take a look. See, there's only one soil in this part of the field, this crescent loam soil, which apparently is a pretty good soil in my field. And then I can take a look and see at the different populations I planted there in the field and determine if the cost of the seed justified the increase in yield. And finally, I want to show you field health imagery within Fieldview. Field health imagery is our NDVI satellite imagery that's delivered every 2 to 8 days depending on cloud cover, and it shows you the change in the biomass across your field over time. What I like about satellite imagery is that it shows me what's going on in my field, and I may be able to catch some things, especially in the center part of the field or in parts of the field that I can't see from the road. I may be able to catch things that are going on in this field that I might be able to address in time before they substantially reduce my yield. As you can see here on June 15th in 2018, this field was starting to show some problems in the northern part of the field, and we were starting to show something there on the left-hand side there in the middle part of the field. I'm going to switch to the scouting picture. It's the same picture, it just adds a lot more contrast. And now you can see that spot I was telling you about in the middle part of that field as it's starting to grow. I'm going to move on up to 3 days later here, and you can see that part of the field is getting a little bit worse. And then we move on another couple of days, and we're seeing some changes occurring in this field. But as we move on to July the 12th, now this field is starting to set up very similar to what I'm used to having happen in this field. So in the northern part of this field, my yield is, I can tell, just because of the biomass decrease, I can tell my yield is starting to really take a hit in the northern part of the field. And in the center part of the field, I'm starting to see lower and lower biomass. And of course, those good portions of the field are continuing to remain green. And so that tells me that I've got good biomass in those areas. So field health imagery can tell you what's going on in your field today and tomorrow. And so you can start to make some changes in the field during the year. In addition to the analysis features, which I've already shown you, that tell you what you did based upon your yield. They can tell you what you did in the field, and you can determine the value of whatever input, whether that was seed or applications or fertilizer, or whatever the value of whatever input it is. You can take a look at that and determine, hey, was that worth it? And should I make changes next year? There are other features and benefits to Climate Fieldview that we won't address here in the interest of time, but I hope you'll take a look at this, take a look at Fieldview and the value that it offers your farm. And if you have interest in Fieldview, now is a great time to try it for free. Please contact your dealer or your Bear Field sales representative for more information and how you can get a free subscription for a year.